Hey guys, this is a previously recorded match. We are playing on Dry Arabia against Max Millinus Potatoes. And he's playing as Ottomans. We 1 second, excuse me. Sorry about the slow start there, guys. There we go. I'm down in Peru. The neighbor's dog started barking. Yeah, so wasn't expecting that much noise. Hopefully, I didn't pick up too much of it. Let's see. So if we're playing against Ottomans, we're going to focus on mostly a feudal age kind of a build. I kind of wanted to do a casted replay. This on the South American servers. I do have some pretty decent lag on the South American servers. I have about 100 to 150 milliseconds of ping, which is way different than what I usually play with. But yeah. So we're just going for fast age up. We're not going to go so much for Kashik Rush as we are going to do for an archery range because most Ottoman players go for this Dark Age military school. One bad thing about this spawn is that this Ubu was way out here. And one thing I definitely realized the more I play against Ottomans, it's really important that your Ubu is protected. So does kind of unfortunate. I could have maybe started my TSC instead of protecting my gold and started over here. It would have been a risk because I didn't see that wood line. So just kind of part of the deal. Our opponent has got his Dark Age military school up, and his first spearman is going to be out here shortly. Speed this up a little bit. In the beginning, there isn't much to see really, just your typical scouting pattern. We're running around. We're trying to get back before our 2-minute time to make sure our villagers don't go idle. We do have some idle time on our villagers here, as you can see. But we are able to get here and drop it off with minimal idle time, so that's not too bad. Peace Scout does run into our TC here, so we're able to snipe this and pick up 1 free sheep, which is nice. Again, not big in terms of big swing in food for either one of us with only that 1 sheep being dropped. So we didn't even circle back with the con to try to pick it up. We're just going to keep running around the map. His spearman is on the way now. I'm going to start burning down our Ulu. Timing wise, this is what usually happens. The spearman's getting here before you can age up. And he's going to start burning it down. And you can usually kind of survive this harass fairly well and deal with it. But the big thing is being able to drop that double production to be able to fight, to push this back. Push this back in as well as take a military lead. So over here, we're trying to fight this with our villagers. Bad idea. A lot of wasted villager time here. We had an opportunity to snipe the spearman early on, so kind of a big mistake just happening in general here. We're trying to drop an archery range. We're going to pull a couple more villagers to drop this archery range faster. The speed of how quickly this archery range goes up is going to be pretty important. And then we're going to take this con and try to snipe this 1 weak spearman. And we have our first magnet coming out. I'm going to try dropping a tower on this Ulu. Again, we have to be careful about this spearman because he can definitely attack us. And we decided to drop the blacksmith next. I feel like this was actually kind of a pretty big mistake here. And we'll see kind of as this game progresses why, number-wise, we were barely being able to keep up in terms of numbers to hold this. So we're able to get this upgrade, which is nice. But again, I don't know if this is a better move than being able to pump out Keshik at this point. So definitely some mistakes, I guess, being made. And I think after this next manga that comes out, I'm going to move forward onto the. I'm either going to save. I'm going to save my stone for Keshik production, which I think is okay as long as you have enough ranges to keep up. So over here, his military is at 2 right now. So you can tell, like, in terms of, like, there's a window here where you can definitely go pressure them. But he does a really super tight base here. Like, I can't raid anything in his base at all. Like, gold is available to raid. So this may be one thing where I kind of messed up, where I didn't have my con with me. I didn't have vision, so I didn't want to push with my Mega Die too far ahead, loses a villager early. I have another villager heading over, so there's a lot of the little mistakes, but they do add up to quite a bit of inefficiency, resources inefficiency, and we're dropping a stable now. And now all of a sudden he's got more military numbers, and we do have Mangadai over here. We're trying to stop this tower from coming up, and our micro here is not the best. You can see we're harassing here, and when we pull back, we're trying to harass over here. And these Mangadai should never, we shouldn't have lost any Mangadai here. And then focusing fire on the scout was a big mistake. We need to focus fire on these archers first, and then after archers on the meter who's giving range armor +1. Again, for whatever reason, Mangadai aggro scouts before anything else, so that's pretty aggravating. And he's able to push up onto this tier, so not having the proper military mass, not having some Keshiks to support us in this fight early on, made it so we lose this first initial fight. If we hold this first initial fight, he never moves onto deer. He's stuck under his base on sheep, which is definitely going to be definitely a big change in terms of influx of production as well as his front position on his base, but it gives him a lot of map control. It's definitely something that would have been nice to have been able to do differently, but we kind of messed up there. Our Khan is also running around now with a couple of sheep. I'm going to try to find somewhere to raid and hit, but again, this base is super tight. Everything's covered basically on the inside of his base here. Maybe gold isn't, and then he's got this tower dropping. He's defending the whole base there, so that's definitely a big issue. Gold is dropping off for us. We're trading across map 70 gold or 68 gold per trade, so it's a really good trade line that we're doing over across here, and he doesn't realize it for quite some time. He does expect the trade happening over here. Over here we are on deer as well ourselves, which is going to be helpful. But one thing to note is that neither one of us have savage survival techniques. I thought he grabbed it already. So, eco count though, we're pulling ahead in terms of eco, and this is because we have wood traders right now. Over here, we dropped the tower, which is going to help us hold this under this pressure. The Keshiks are going to be able to hold Sapahi back fairly well, and yeah, we're going to be able to hold this even though we're a little bit outnumbered here. Again, losing the scouts is kind of painful, but the Keshik production is really big here. We're going to have 4 Keshiks out shortly, which is going to be really huge. I mean, it sucks losing these early Keshiks. I guess technically I could have fallen back with those guys, but I would have lost my Mangadai mass a bit sooner. I might have lost this tower as well, so I kind of sacrificed this army to save this tower. Is basically the trade-off here. Again, you know, maybe it's not worth. Maybe it's not worth it in the long run. Maybe it would have been better if I'd fallen back, and then just let these knights spawn behind them. So losing the tower. So, kind of just something that it's hard to determine. His meta is still now on attack drums. Increased attacks by 50%, so that's a pretty strong buff on top of the movement speed buff. So this meta is definitely a big issue that we would have been nice to take out early and we haven't been able to. And now he's got the Mon to heal this mass up. So it's a really scary fetal ball, and it's happening around. It happens around this 8 to 11, 12-minute mark that you're having to deal with this mass. And it's definitely, if you go archers instead of Mangadai, it's definitely more. It's easier to deal with, but it's still quite an issue. We do decide to start trying to raid behind this with the Keshiks instead of trying to do a stand-up fight with these guys. Like, we can win this, but it's not something that we want to do. He's also got his first barracks up, going for a second barracks, and he's getting a spearman into queue. Behind this, our servitry booming isn't exactly booming, but we do have 6 traders, and we got 2 more on the queue. That's definitely going to help stabilize us. We need to drop a gur over here for our wood line. Our deer, we still got some deer. We're about halfway through our deer camp. He's about halfway through his deer camp as well. And I don't know. In retrospect, I think dropping this blacksmith probably cost us a lot of initial inertia on this push, letting him push out on us. If we have those Keshiks out in time to help us here, this tower never goes up, these deer never get taken and get stuck on deer. He has to transition to berries or farms, and he has to fight for this position. And I mean, it's not that he didn't fight for this position, it's just a pretty easy fight for him because we didn't have the Keshiks or horsemen to support. Behind this, we're attacking his woodline with our Keshiks. This aggroing of the units is always pretty frustrating that it works like that if you click a unit. So I must have wanted to attack more, but I didn't get it done. We are trying to tower on the sides here, try to get some vision on the flank from our opponent. You know, we've been able to do some damage to his eco, which is big because he's just producing a ton of units, as you can see, just constant unit production coming out. And yeah, he's got military schools going, so he's happy as can be right now. He's just pumping the units out, and we're up to 10 traders at this point. And yeah, in terms of eco, we're definitely ahead in terms of eco right now, thanks to our trade. But with the free resources he gets from the military school, it's having a pretty severe impact, and you can tell in terms of the military unit count. You know, and part of it is that we're also going expensive cavalry units, so we're getting half the amount of units. So instead of 20 units, we could possibly have probably 40, 45 units if you're all infantry based at this point. But and you can hold this a lot easier. Even just the massive units can kind of make someone second guess a push. But over here we can see that he's trying to push our line here, and we're just going to try to get some pressure. And we can't really do much at this point. Behind us we are trying to hit his line. He has a couple of spearmen though, so we're going to lose those knights. Yeah, both the knights are dead because of this couple of spearmen, or Keshiks, whatever. And we take this fight against spearmen, so a really bad fight that we take here. It's not a winning fight, and not a good fight to take at all, so that's a big mistake on our part to take that fight. We lose a lot of units there. That's 5 cav units for a couple of spears, so it's definitely not worth it. And again, we didn't end up killing anybody in that raid, so that's also pretty painful. We are transitioning off of our deer here, and we're transitioning onto the boar over here. Again, he still hasn't noticed our trade. Going to town, we're at 14 traders and we're still trading. We're producing more traders. Our gold income is pretty solid. And you know, from here, our eco is actually pulling way ahead of him. So even though his military he's got the death ball to push and end us if he drops rams. I feel like if he drops a couple rams here, he puts us in a really rough situation. Because he doesn't go rams, we're able to kind of stabilize behind this, and I guess up there with a little bit more aggression with rams, I think we might have been dead at this point. You know, this early blacksmith, it's surprising how much it changes the dynamic early, but it really does. It's really not worth it to drop a blacksmith second. From against Ottomans at least. Even though I mean we technically cancel out his meta buff, it's not enough. You know, a horseman or a Keshik would have been much bigger than +1 on our ranged projectiles. Militarily though, infrastructure, we're up to 6 infrastructure buildings now, which is really good. He's up to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, and 3 military schools. So yeah, he's ahead of us, and he's making infantry. So being able to keep up with his numbers, we're not going to be able to really. And you can tell he's got a huge military, right? He's up to 80 troops. He's pulled some Sapaki down to stop this trade from happening. Luckily, we spot this with this first one. We're going to drop another tower. We just put them on patrol. And we're collecting these boar here. Over here, he's starting to move out onto the deer patch. And we figured that he would be moving on to deer soon. We just kind of miscalculate when. We do drop outposts on the side over here. We drop an outpost on this wood line. I figured he'd be finishing this wood line soon and be transitioning. He does move to this forward wood line though. So we do kind of guess wrong on which wood line to tower. Unfortunately, again, getting to with this woodland too and towering this woodland would have been a lot more difficult. So that's kind of why we tower this southern side. And look at his army. He's 3 times the size of our army. We do have a nice mass of Mangudai and a nice mass of Cav. And we're going to be able to kind of hold this if he pushes us. And we're producing a bunch of Keshiks too. So it's not that our army is cheap. Or, it's not, we're 3 times, we're a third of the size, but army value-wise, we're actually 2/3 of its cost. So that's something important to notice. Over here, he's dropped this tower, and he's now spotted our trade going on to the north. And he pulls all these Sapahi. At which point I should have realized that he was moving across, and I think I did realize, yes, so I'm moving forward. I see him garrison here. And, where is all my cab? Oh, there they are. But they were heading to go fight to the Sapahi in the south. But we decided to head over here, and we see this, and we're just gonna pull a bunch of traders and head over to the other side. And we're just gonna burn this down, push the middle where we can. And you can see his army is huge now at this point. But our eco is there's a pretty big stark difference in eco. Unfortunately, part of it is in traders. So we sent a bunch of traders. We got a bunch more to send too. But we still have a pretty good amount of traders at this point. 9 is we're pushing. We're bringing a massive Mangudai to kind of cut off this force, kind of try to isolate them and make them suffer some attritional losses. He's still rallying more troops, just constantly rallying troops. And he's got a nasty death block here. He's got a really nasty death block. And we're still at 14 traders, so he pulls away, and he's gonna try to kind of push our main base. And our Mangudai are kind of hitting here, and our knights are hitting his main base as well. So we're going to try to push his eco while he's kind of pushing ours. At the same time, we've already got up the castle while he hasn't. So our new units are going to be hitting here. And this is kind of unfortunate because we do try to tap off our Mangudai, but we're not able to. It's kind of a big mistake because we had a lot of work floating. And once his army started moving around and going towards our trade and we were looking to counterattack, we should have built towers immediately. Because a bunch of towers here would have changed a whole bunch. So he kills a ton of villagers. He's up to almost 40 villager kills in an instant. And we raid over here and we get a couple kills, but nothing huge. But now we're pretty far behind. But the one nice thing is we do have a ton of Mangudai. But our Mangudai upgrades are going to get cancelled out at this archery range, unfortunately. Fortunately, it's not like the delis, where once the production has been cancelled, you can't like restart it from where it was. You gotta restart it from 0, so you gotta fall back. And we do pull back all of our cav force to fight here. And we do kind of realize that our Mangudai are going to be useful, but they're not going to be able to really repel everything here. So we're not able to engage the archers directly. So we try to just avoid as much as we can with the Mangudai and let our knights dive into these archers and just trade the best that they can. It's kind of unfortunate because there isn't a lot of spearmen here, but there's enough. There's definitely enough spearmen to be fighting us. So once all these guys die, my cav guys, as you can see, he's got 12 spearmen here, so he had plenty of spearmen. But his army in general has suffered quite a lot of losses. From his 100 plus, he's dropped down quite a bit, and you could tell he wasn't comfortable until he had a bunch of units to push me. So we do have to be a little bit careful about getting close to his army because it's a bunch of archers. But we're getting decent pressure, and behind this, our trade is back up to 13. We're gonna be up to 14 again, and again we're still trading along the backside here without him noticing. So that's definitely stabilizing our eco, and it looks like he's gonna start looking for castle here shortly because he's got a ton of gold stored up. Or maybe it's just missed macro, which is crazy to think about. That if he had properly macroed his gold, he would be in a lot better shape in terms of his army comp. So we have a lot to fix in our base here. Producing villagers, but we're suffering from resources pretty bad. We do try to raid over here on this tower. 5 villagers inside the field will push we'll be able to kill our keshiks even if they're hitting them. So we'll just have to pull and just kind of hit different resource spots. And we're just checking berry patches, just checking different places. Yeah, he does spot this tower going up on his back line. He's going to keep building over here. One villager to idle all those villagers there, I think is probably worth it actually in terms of resource time. Because these are 13 villagers, yeah, so it's actually worth it losing that one villager to idle those 13. But again, just a little victory. You know, now is a really flipped scenario. We had an eco lead and now we're behind 20 units and it's up 40 units, 50 units actually in military. So we're in a pretty rough spot. We know we can't really push out, but we also have to push out and we have to raid because we just lost a ton of bills. Like we just lost 44 bills. And we know we haven't killed any more since then. So he's in a really good spot here. And the big thing now is we've got our upgrades though. Over here we do find some units on the berries. So a little bit closer, equalizing. Six more villagers killed on his food, which is nice. And we're gonna burn this down, just mostly to heal this one Keshik up. And then we're gonna rotate through. I wanted to hit this wood line sooner. But yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of here or there. You know, maybe it's probably worth it rolling and hitting these guys sooner instead of burning them down. Just leaving the injured Keshik to work on this and just keep pushing. Over here, he's pulling villagers to build the mechanized imperial armory. His army again is triple the size of mine. Eco is ahead of mine. It's pretty crazy that we lost 45 vils. If without losing those 45 mils, we would have been way ahead in terms of eco. So, and little things, forgetting to build towers, things like that, getting greedy is pretty crazy how much that affects you. One big thing too is now our military infrastructure. So we're only we're gonna get 6 military infrastructure buildings. We did burn down the military school, which was one nice thing about that counterattack, because military schools are fairly expensive. Be able to kill one villager here. So again, we're just trying to find value with our units where we can. He's getting a veteran upgrade, so he'll be ready to go in a minute. And we're just rallying troops here. We just want to be ready to fight this. And yeah, again, kind of just a rough spot. Let's speed this up a little bit. You can tell militarily he's still twice my size. Eco-wise, we're trying to catch up. We're still producing traders. We're up to 20 traders. We're trying to raid around the side here. One nice thing is with these Keshiks back here, we got free reign on these houses. And he starts to push us on our trade line, which is going to be pretty painful, but we do have a really nice massive Mangadai. This is 24 Mangadai. This is kind of like one-shot numbers, so this is really nice in terms of DPS. The one bad thing is he's taking a lot of map controls, taking forward golds from us, so. And right now we're losing a ton of traders. So again, he's just killing more. Our eco is falling behind again because of this, but he's gonna lose a ton of Sapahi now. And he had about 15 Sapahi, and she's down to 12. So he's losing a ton of Sapahi, and they're also getting all injured, which is really important. We probably should have dropped the speed up arrow a little bit sooner. A little bit of a mistake not committing to this a little bit sooner, and we see the archers rolling out, so we just kind of have to avoid this. This is a nice massive Mangadai, so we're just going to be able to kind of roll around and try to find fights where we can. Traders we can drop down to 12, and we're taking our Keshiks just to try to burn houses. We're going to rotate here and there, trying to find more villager kills, and we do get, I think, 1 or 2 villager kills here. Yeah, there's one here. So we're picking out these incoming troops, which are men-at-arms, which are, you can see, pretty tough for the Mangadai to chew through, but they're doing an okay job. He only has some garrison space for some of the villages here, so we try to pick up a couple more. We're not able to actually do it, but we did kill a men-at-arms, a couple more units, and then his Manganao, thankfully we see it last minute, we're able to cancel back directionally. Over here we burned a house, and we're going to go check out his tree lines. And we're just harassing doing the best that we can. We don't want to fight these archers very much. They will mess us up pretty good, so we're trying to avoid that. Keshik is over here working on lone villager. And we see this army, we're just going to try to avoid it. We've got to get a bunch of villager kills to really equalize. Behind this though, our army value, though we're smaller an army, we have a lot of, it's an expensive army. It's definitely a big army. And here we've got a bunch of siege workshops coming up, because the best way to deal with these really light gold units or wood trash units or whatever they like to be called is mangonels. So over here we catch a couple more villagers, and I think we put down to 70. And we're gonna pull over some keshiks to kind of deal with it. And again, just rotating through, trying to find villagers where we can. These 4 villagers are still getting him a lot of value on these deer. And yeah, the keshiks just kind of rolling around, seeing what we can find. Just trying to get as much raids as we can. And now he's pushing our main base here, and we're just gonna fall back as much as we can. We can't, like, we could probably take this fight, but it requires a lot of micro. There's still a lot of spearmen here. We've got 25 spearmen, and they're just gonna shred our cav. And we gotta try and pull some cavalry around, focus on his mangonels, and get onto his archers. And he does have janissaries. He's losing a lot of units here, so we're getting pretty good value with these guys here, but you can see in terms of army value, a lot of units survived and a lot of ours got trashed. Behind us though, we did get a few more kills on villagers, just about here, and we're equalizing the villager numbers a little bit, which is really important for these long fights. We do have a springald and we do have a mangonel out. And this big mess is mean, it's strong, but the mangonel, it's a good thing here. I don't know if it really going to turn this battle for us. I think he just kind of mismicros it, misanalyzes the situation. I think if he fully pushes and dives, we're going to lose this mangonel. But I think we have him so caught up in other stuff on the back lines here that he forgets about this. And we do have at least a stable over here producing some units, so we're trying to restabilize ourselves here. Gold, we're at 12, so we're just trying to find where we can. Villager picks, there's a couple more here. And using 4 Magadai for 2 villagers, almost never worth. But in this situation, it's definitely helpful, because we've now almost equalized the villager numbers. And we still have these keshiks in the background, getting us some resources with the raid burn downs as well as killing units, so that's definitely nice to help us. But you can tell his food income is definitely has suffered quite a bit from this. And now our ecos are almost equalized. Army value wise though, he's way ahead. And this is a really big mistake. He tries to pull all these villagers across, and we're able to pick them off, which is huge. And when catching this Zapaki, you can route a bunch of spearmen, there's archers. So the Zapaki, it was just super tanky, they're able to do a lot of damage, but we're kind of able to ride around, distract him, and we're doing a bunch of damage back in the background of things here. And now we've actually taken a villager lead, and we're still trading with more traders. And he's prepping to push us here. And we're just going to try and get more infrastructure. We should have been dead on this game 100%. I feel like if he pushes and commits here, there's nothing we would have been able to do. He could have brought his whole army over and sat under TC, and we would have been pretty much dead. The Mangonel wouldn't have been able, the lone Mangonel wouldn't have been able to do enough. So his indecisiveness with his big army is definitely a big mistake. And he wants to build a bunch of rams now. 32 minutes in the game, which is better than never, but it was definitely a really late reaction. Behind this, we're still raiding with our keshiks. We're hitting different wood lines. Raiding a line over here, raiding a line over here. We're pulling our mangonels or mangonite into different areas, trying to find more villages, and we've picked off a couple more here and there. And again, we're pulling ahead in terms of villager numbers, which is actually surprising, but it's important because it's going to let us able to scale here. And we have more mangonels. We're just producing mangonels, but this is a big blob of mostly um, trash units. I mean, he does got 24 minute arms, but it's mostly trash units. Magadai again raiding up here. We get more villagers, and we've got now a pretty decent military lead. And we do see these Keshiks who are kind of running around raiding where we can, and we do bump into a couple men at arms, and we bump into a mangonel. So he kind of missed rallies here. He sends a lone mangonel, which is definitely a big mistake. Losing a lone mangonel is definitely painful. We kind of missed micro that. We should have been able to kill that with a little bit more cleanliness. But it's no biggie. So we're trading out these Keshik though for this tower. Oh, we do valve him away. Okay, so that's good. And here we're just running around the map. We're trying to find him on his gold. We knew that he had this forward gold, but I wasn't sure if he committed to it yet. He's got a ton of battering rams. He's got 132 army. So it's a really big army. He's got one mega now, so 100% could definitely wreck us. Having the curl type would have been a huge here. We're getting upgrades. 3 stacks, so we've got some spring organ placements up. So this is a fairly good, decent defensive posture we've got here. And our initial raiding force of 23 Megadai, we're down to 7 now. And we're still just looking for villager picks wherever we can. There's only really a few villagers left in his main base. But we do have a villager lead here, so technically we would be, take this to end game and you're technically going to outscale. We are dropping towers over on our wood line because if he raids us, we're right here to the south. And we want to be able to garrison at least these villagers, so at least they put up some sort of damage. He's going for stone. And yeah, again, just a really weird match in terms of him and his lack of aggression, because he was definitely the place to push us. But now we're in an okay spot. We got 3 mangonels, and we've got 1 more coming out, and we got a couple of springolds. 21 Keshiks, 6 mangonels. So we got a decent army. It's definitely, I don't know if it wins. It's not going to win against this army. It's going to be quite a bit of damage, that's for sure. We try to raid the backside here, kill a villager or 2. And we just gotta keep, rolling around. Over here, we are starting to burn down this market with these lone Keshiks. They're kind of just doing their thing here in the north, kind of shutting it down. It's unfortunate that I'm blow them over here and take out this. Would have been nice. But yeah, this is just, he likes to get a really big mass before he pushes, and it's really kind of, it's weird, but I can see, why one might want to do it for aggression or like for safety purposes if you could, but you can just see the amount of rams he's got here. 9 battering rams. But no siege equipment to company really, besides 1 manga now. So we'll send our spring up forward to kind of snipe out this thing, we prep our mangonels. Try to send the knights out to kind of harass early. Try to body block as much as we can. You have to protect these mangonels for as much as we can. And mangonels are doing okay. We're trying to, again, land shots here on these janissaries. We kill a whole bunch of janissaries there. He does a good job pulling his archers out of here. And this is kind of just a weird part of this battle because militarily, he's not super ahead of us. He was in a decent spot, but he definitely didn't have eco to say pump out another big army like this. He goes pretty hard, and he just taps out. I think if he loses all of his archers here, I would like to be able to pause this. Hopefully you can pause the replay. I don't know. Can I? But the big thing is he loses. I mean, he's got a bunch of archers here, and I lose my mangonels. But in terms of like actual military units that he has to fight my knights, he actually doesn't have the numbers to fight my knights anymore. And I'm still going to be able to produce a bunch of knights here. And with my gold in the background trading, I could have bought some more. So I technically had lost um, my two landmarks, but I had the silver tree, so I could always pick that up and move it. But in terms of his army, like revamping up, he was actually kind of in a weird spot. He didn't have hardly any villagers left. I mean, I didn't have hardly any villagers left either at the end there, but it was just kind of weird. He kind of taps out there. I think it's a battle that I should have a game I should have lost. I think a big part of it was that early blacksmith, but we'll kind of see just kind of in other games that we play how things go. But yeah, it's kind of a different game. It's kind of weird, but you can definitely see where that early forward position, that early mass, being bigger than mine and not being able to deal with it early, just really lets him snowball into kind of an out of control situation for us. So yeah, hopefully that gets a little bit of something from that match. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.